Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Man, have we got a doozy today. I mean, we are way up at 47,000, but more than just the TA. Grayscale has freaking threatened the SEC with a lawsuit if they don't approve the ETF soon. Now, we could get approved as early as later this year, but most regulators are saying sometime mid next year. But Grayscale threatening the SEC with a lawsuit, that could actually get crypto to go up, especially, later this summer, because there's a 240-day public comment submission before the SEC closes the public comment stuff, and they might actually have to approve one this year. So if we actually get a pump April, May, we go down in June. In August, September, or later this year, we could get another pump because forget what the charts say. If we get a Bitcoin ETF, that is if we get a spot at Bitcoin ETF, that will really pump the markets up. And we could actually get one later this year because Grayscale is actually thinking that they're going to sue the SEC. I don't exactly know what they're going to sue the SEC for, but they're going to sue the SEC for something or other if they don't get their if they don't get their GBTC converted into an ETF. And they have a lot of clients on this GBTC. So GBTC today is owned by investors in all 50 states, and there's actually now over 800,000 accounts in the US, all waiting patiently to have it converted to an ETF. Outside of that, Vladimir Putin has cleared up that he will not use nukes unless someone invades Russia. And since no one's actually going to invade Russia, he's not going to actually use nuclear weapons. So there is no chance of nuclear weapons in Ukraine. So those things might be kind of boosting it in the background. But man, this a lawsuit against the SEC by Grayscale and the ETF, that would be quite spectacular. But let's actually go to the numbers today and actually take a look. If you actually look at the graph right now, yes, we are definitely going up right now. Basically, ever since around maybe end of January, beginning of February, we have been going back up. If you look at the 3-month chart, even on the 3-month chart, a better view is from January 24th to right now. This is a pretty good trend line up, and we're actually at balance even before that, or slightly higher than at balance right before that from January 5th onward. On the 6-month, yes, we're still down, but the thing is we've already hit above one plateau here at the 45,000 mark or 43,000 mark, and we're at the second plateau at the $47,000 mark. The next two plateaus are 51,000 and 59,000. So I think if we hit above 51,000, that's definitely a bull signal, and that could actually get more people to actually come in if we can break the 50,000 barrier. However, I am somewhat concerned due to the volume. The volume is still very low right now, as you can see. I mean, yes, it's higher than it was late January, but it really hasn't. It honestly really hasn't gone back to what it was, even even when it was last June or July during the low, and definitely not what it was in terms of Bitcoin when it was pumping earlier in the year. So right now, I will have to say this pathetic little volume that does actually look like it's Terra Luna or a couple of players just pumping. And it does not look like retail interest is actually back in. And without retail interest, it's really going to be hard for the altcoins to go on a full bull run. Now, some of them I'm sure will pump up, but it's very hard for all of them to actually go on a full bull run unless retail really comes in. And I don't really see retail coming back in right now, not with this kind of volume. Maybe once we hit 50, 55K, retail will start thinking it's a bull run and they'll actually get in, and that's when we'll actually get the volume. But we might actually have to wait until the all-time high. Speaking of such, if you actually look at the 5-year graph, basically starting in September of 2020, we're actually on a direct trend line up from September 2020. Despite us dropping twice, you can see that each bottom is actually higher than the last one. And the curvature we're looking at right now is a lot like the curvature we had last summer, but the bottom point is about 4,000 points higher than the bottom point we actually had last summer. And as for the tops, yes, they're still going up as well. We're going 2 right here from about 64,000 to about 69,000. So the next one should be at 75,000. If we go to 75,000, then I think many of the altcoins will reach a new all-time high, especially things like Cardano, Ethereum, because they have events in the summer. and probably maybe some other coins as well, like Terra Luna as it gets TVL. I do think it'll actually go higher. I do think the DeFi value will massively increase, although I do feel like that Ethereum is going to start losing even more DeFi dominance. So right now, if you take a look at like a 2-year graph, we're still definitely up. The 4-year cycle is pretty much dead, and we have a new 6-month cycle, and it's following through pretty well. It should peak in May, and then peak again maybe later in November, and that actually lines up pretty well with the Do Kwon pump right now, and also maybe the SEC finally letting a Bitcoin ETF through then. So that's actually what we're looking at for kind of like the long-term trends. On the technical 1-day, everything is a buy, but once again, the 50 EMA stays below the 200 EMA. We're going to need to maintain these prices or go up for the next week or two for the 50 EMA to crawl above the 200 EMA. But the thing is, like, all the EMAs up to the 200 are actually buys right now. And because we don't really know when Do Kwon is actually going to buy, I would say, like, it is a buy right now, but you definitely don't want to play, like, high leverage options at this point. Because if he doesn't buy in a while, that price could actually dip back down. Remember, we did say that retail investors have not actually come in yet. There's no retail volume. So if he doesn't buy for a while, it could actually come back down. But if you short it and he buys again, you're out of luck as well. So it's not really a time to play options when these whales are basically swinging it back and forth, and they're the ones that's actually driving the price. Without any retail FOMO, you can't long, and you don't really know when they're actually going to buy, so you can't really short at this point. But it is actually a buy. It is actually kind of a buy right now if you're not playing options, because I do think he has like something like $9 billion of Bitcoin left to buy, and that will pump it up sooner or later. And I do believe it will probably be next 2 months. But since you're not sure of that, you really can't bet on that. If you look at the oscillators, the commodity channel index is definitely on overbought. And pretty much like both the RSI and the stochastic and the commodity channel index are overbought. So it is a little bit overbought, but that's going to be the case if a big entity is actually pushing Bitcoin. Now, usually if I didn't have the Terra Luna news, I would say it's overbought and it's actually good for a decent short-term short. But the problem is if Do Kwon keeps buying over the next few days, we could be seeing over 50,000 and you could actually get liquidated. So right now on the oscillators, I would say it's neutral. The oscillators do actually say it's actually buy. Anything over 100 on the commodity channel index is usually buy. Same thing with the stochastic over 80 and the RSI over 70. But since we do know the Terra Luna news, I definitely wouldn't make any moves right now. On the 1 week, it's going to be buy pretty much all the way down. The simple moving average on the 30 is still a sell, but everything else is a buy. But once again, that is probably due to the movements of big whales and specifically Terra Luna itself. So right now, I wouldn't really say anything about the sentiment. I would still think it's a buy because, like I said, he has like $9 billion left of Bitcoin to buy, and you don't really know when he's going to do it, but he's going to do it sometime. So I would actually signal this as a buy. Monthly, I would say it's a buy probably into monthly. I would say it's a buy into April and May. I don't know about after mid-May, and then like you might have a buy again in like late August after it dumps down a little bit again. Especially, we'll have to keep up with the case of the Grayscale ETF because the comment period ends in July, and I think they'll have to make a decision afterwards. And if they signal they're going to allow a spot ETF, then you definitely want in before that. So I think long term wise, it's still a buy right now, but I would be kind of careful short term wise because you don't really know what a couple of whales, especially Terra Luna, is going to do. Not very good idea to short, not very good idea to long. But I think just buying without leverage, I think that's actually the way to go right now. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.